Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to Shadowrun Dragonfall. In the last episode, we started the quest for redemption for Eiger, trying to stop a syndicate man by the name of the Engineer from setting up shop right next to the Crucifixiar. It's really important that we take care of this for Eiger, so let's go ahead and finish this up. Wretch is right here at the door. Who we got? Rambach Enforcer, that's easy enough. Nice little 24 shot. And you have your shotgun at the ready for 12. Ow. Okay. Well, you got it. Eiger's got to heal up. For 27. Now, this leads to the streets. I'm kind of curious where this goes, though. So, we're going to have Eiger wait right here. And Wretch is going to make a hustle down here just in case there's something that we need to be aware of. Okay, it doesn't look like it. So let's go ahead and get to the streets. Same thing with Eiger. New objective. The engineer must survive. So, okay, we can't... I guess we have to whittle him down some. So let's head behind cover. Ooh, for 20. That's good. And Eiger will get behind here. For 39. Okay, he cannot be hit again. We're going to, I guess, run up here. What is this? Only at extremely close range. Alright, we just gotta chase him down like this then. He's gonna keep running. Do I have anything that'll give me extra AP? Ooh! Gives me an extra adrenal. I didn't even notice I had that. I can chase him down the next turn easy. Don't you dare. Alright, we got more nastiness up here, but fortunately, we're going to take cover and go into our inventory and use the cyberware deactivator. That takes care of that little problem. Alright, Eiger. We just have these two guys to deal with. This should be fine. No worries. For 20. Oh, I still have another turn. That's awesome. I'm going to take this time to heal up. Eiger, you do the same. And that's your business right there. Hitting from a shotgun from such far away is not advisable. And one more shot. Nice. Now, Eiger, you go ahead and do your big shot for 20. Thank God we had that adrenal pack. I don't know where I got that. That must be a... Oh, we got that because of our new cyberware. Nice. That was a very good investment. Thank you, Shockwell and Rider. Not enough ammo. Confirm and still have those two. Oh, no. Did we run out of it? We did. It's okay, though. Glory will reload. And that still gives her a headshot. Oh. Come on. We're on a time limit here. There we are. Help me drag this guy back to the warehouse. We're going to find out what he knows. The engineer lies splayed out on the ground, his body trembling violently. Eiger shoves a bottle up his nose and squeezes. The engineer shudders violently, and then the trembling begins to subside. She glances at you. An aerosol BZD to help treat the seizures. Vanek was kind enough to include it in his goodie bag. It won't last long, but it should give Yuli here enough muscular control to answer a few questions. The engineer's voice comes out in a terrible, trembling stutter. Screw you, troll. Eiger raises an eyebrow. See? He's talking already. The engineer's eyes burn with hate. Beads of sweat dot his brow as he struggles to control the tremors that rack his body. He takes a deep breath, holds it, and releases it slowly. The trembling begins to subside. Feeling better, Yuli? You ready to chat? Slowly, the orc's eyes shift from Eiger to you. I know the troll. We have history, but you're a stranger to me. Are you sure that you have the stomach for this stranger? Not many do. Well, let's hit him. The wind explodes out of the orc's lungs as your fist slams into his belly. His breath stinks of harissa and garlic. After a few panicked seconds, he manages to gasp out a word. Bastard. We ask the questions, you answer them. Actually, sticks and stones, Yuli. Eiger leans in towards the engineer. He recoils, grinding the back of his head against the grease-stained Duraplast tiles. You're helpless, a cripple. Her voice comes out in a snarl. But if you answer our questions, things will go easier for you. So tell us, whose payroll are you on? She grabs a fistful of the orc's hair and lifts his head. Her face is inches from his. Tell us who sent you to Shadowrun. There's a long pause. Eventually, the engineer looks away. Alright, you want to know so badly? I'll tell you. Tenemis sent me here. They want to use Shadowrun as a base of operations in Berlin. My point of contact is a ghoul named Beetle. He leans forward and locks eyes with Eiger. There, you've got your intel. Now set me free or kill me. Yuli? Eiger leans back, shaking her head. You wouldn't roll over on an employer this easy. Your rep tells me that much. He raises an eyebrow in a look of mock astonishment. No? No, Eiger's right. You're jerking us around. You wanted a name, I gave you a name. Want more? I can give you those too. I can name you 100 clients who'd love a piece of Shadowrun. How do you intend to determine who really sent me? I've got a couple of ideas. The engineer smirks. You can try beating the truth out of me. You can try cutting on me. Get creative with the pliers if you like. Every time you hurt me, I'll give you a different name. Torture me or don't. It'll all end the same way. I'll be dead, you'll know nothing for certain, and my clients will move ahead on schedule. Help us out then. If you're already dead, why care about being a snitch? He snorts. I won't give your she-troll the satisfaction. She wants it, and that's why she won't get it. Eiger's hands bunch into fist. She's still smiling, but you can feel the heat of the hatred behind her eyes. If you don't start telling me what I want to hear in the next 30 seconds, this is going to get messy. I know that look, Yuli. I'd start talking if I were... The engineer cuts you off. A perverse smile has spread itself across his face. You know Eiger. He takes his time pronouncing the name, savors it. I'd like to tell you a story. We share so much history, you and I. Eiger says nothing, but her eyes narrow. Ooh. The engineer continues, his grin broadening. This is a funny story. It's a story about your time in the KSK. A story about futility. I can tell you all about the many lives you touched, and how the syndicates touched them again afterward. Would you like that? There's a long pause. Eventually, Eiger turns to face you. Wretch, do me a favor. Sweep the building for intel. Anything that we might have missed on the way in. You know what? I bet he's gonna be dead. I don't know if that's a great idea, Eiger. It's necessary, Wretch. She shoots a disgusted glance at your captive. And I won't let this twisted little prick chase me out of the room. He can tell me whatever story he likes. Alright, I'm gonna trust you to keep your cool. Don't worry about me, fearless leader. I've done this before. She glances down at the engineer's prostrate body. There's one thing this ass has said that holds water. We aren't going to solve this on his word alone. Agreed, but I don't think we can beat the answer out of him either. No, of course not, she sighs. I'm sure that he'd eventually spill the name we're looking for, but he'd be buried in so much white noise that'd be impossible to filter out. If you can find some corroborating evidence, though, that might help us wade through the river of bull he's spewing. I can't tell you what to look for, but he was doing business with Rambach in this building. There must be something in here that can tell us who he represents. Alright, Eiger, but remember, we need this SOB alive. No torture. Yeah, she turns back to the engineer. I'm good, but be quick. Alright, so... now we head down this... Oh wait, here's this door that's open. Ooh, dead man. That was quick. The broken body of a human man lies on the floor. His face is a mess of fresh cuts and congealing blood, and his head is oddly deformed. Despite his wounds, his mouth is twisted into a macabre smile. Judging by the shape of the ganger's head, you guess that his skull has been fractured in at least 3 places. The center of his forehead is particularly gruesome. It looks soft, as though the skin were stretched like a tent between shards of broken bone. Looking up, you can see a great smear of gore on the door of the room that you found him in. The implications are clear. This man bashed his own head in trying to get out, and he did it with a smile on his face. His hands are badly broken, too. You've seen these sorts of injuries after bare-knuckle fights, but never anything this severe. This man punched something hard and went on punching until his hands were reduced to useless slabs of meat. And we don't have Biotech 4, so we have to step away. Nothing in here to inspect. So, let's check over here. Chemical storage barrels. A light jostle shows they're completely empty. Is there anything that a Decker could find? Because that would be awesome. Courier drone. It looks melted. The cargo container is empty. This generic courier drone has been snapped together out of prefab parts from a dozen different manufacturers. It's a cheap, utilitarian thing, remarkable only that it's so incredibly plain. A half-bright teenager could cobble something like this together in an afternoon, which is probably why no one would notice it. The drone sits in a charging cradle, its turbofan unpowered. A cheerful green light blinks on its front panel to remind you that it's still active. You can see the silhouette of something under the flimsy plastic dome of the drone's cargo compartment. Whatever this thing was here to deliver, it's still carrying it. Let's pop the lid. You depress the catch on the container's plastic lid. Rather than swinging open, the lid slides back to reveal a touchpad. Looks as though this thing is password locked. Let's examine the drone more closely. Taking a closer look, you notice something strange. There's a set of electrical contact plates lining the lip of the drone's cargo compartment. It's a fair bet that this thing's outfitted with an anti-tampering system of some kind. Ugh, well, we can't rig into the drone. Let's step away. We are just not finding anything that's holding water. Let's keep looking. I think eventually we can talk to our friend here and maybe get the password. But we're going to keep looking in here. Oh, a ledger. Ledgers are always good. There's a small ledger lying on this crate. The cover is cheap leatherette and the paper is tissue-thin newsprint. The pages are filled to overflowing with handwritten text. You don't recognize the language, but judging by the accent mark, you guess it's a Scandinavian tongue. While you can't read it, the arrangement of the text tells you that the ledger is primarily being used as an address book. Okay, we'll pocket the book. Oh, there's another one. Why does this place have no computers? The forklift's tires are flat. Looks like it hasn't been used in years. And that's pretty much everything I can observe. So let's go back and talk to Yuli. See if there's anything that he can tell us about this password or anything like that. As you approach, you can see that the engineer's chest is sheeted with blood. Most of it seems to be streaming from his nose, which has been crushed into a wad of bloody meat. Eiger turns to face you, her bunched fists are dripping red. Find anything? She speaks to you through clenched teeth. Her voice sounds strained and her cheeks are flushed. Having fun? I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it because he deserves it. If you know half of what this bastard has done, if you'd heard the things that he just told me, you'd do the same. Fair enough. Just don't get carried away. We need him. She pauses, then turns away. Just tell me what you found. Yes, please. The engineer's voice is thick and wet. He smiles through a set of gore-streaked teeth. Enlighten us. Found this ledger. I don't recognize the language, but it looks Scandinavian. Eiger leafs through the journal, quickly flipping the soy calf-stained pages. Norwegian, maybe. I'm thinking that this is written in Bokmål. She frowns. I can't read it, but it looks like a shipping manifest. Yeah, something like that. There's a lot of addresses in there. She rifles through the pages, flipping the cheap paper with her thumbnail. Looks like addresses all the way through. Some are annotated, but I can't see any names. 2/3 of the way through the book, she stops short. You find something interesting? Wordlessly, she turns the journal around. At the top of the page, written in a different hand, is a single word. It's written in English, but you can understand it all the same. Wednesday. She nods. Yeah, not particularly helpful without a full date, but I guess it's something. Of course, Wednesday might not refer to a day of the week at all. It could be a code for something. Taken out of context like this is impossible to say, which is probably the code for that drone. So what do you make of this? This should be good. Eiger ignores him. Her gaze remains fixed on the book. It might be nothing, or it could mean that he's back in bed with the Lakvaksveshki syndicate. The engineer holds his silence. Is that it, Yuli? You taking orders from your old bosses again? He pauses for a moment before croaking out an answer. Maybe. Who's to say? You are, if you know what's good for you. You gonna hit me again? Okay, then. Yes, I am working for the Lakvaksveshkis. You want names? I'll give you names. More names than you know what to do with. Yeah, forget it. His mouth twists into a bloody grin. Yeah, that's what I thought. Did you find anything else? We need to be sure about this before moving forward. I found a body in the other room. From the looks of him, he tried using his head to beat down a steel-reinforced door. Interesting, but not unusual in these parts. There are all kinds of drugs that can make a person act that way, and most of them aren't hard to get in a place like Shadowrun. Found anything else? I'll keep searching, because I know exactly where to go. Let's head here to this drone and put in the secret code. Okay. Wednesday. Boop. There we go. The plastic lid of the cargo container pops open with a click. Inside you find appears to be a homemade SimSense chip. It sits securely in a custom-made plastic bracket. You pop the chip out of the bracket and pocket it. A few seconds later, an angry hissing sound comes from somewhere deep within the drone. Ooh, let's step back. As you step away from the drone, the hissing sound grows into a roar. Bright white sparks spit out of the drone's melting chassis and streak across the room. You've seen this kind of reaction before. Thermite. Whoever built the drone must have wired it with a self-destruct device. Within seconds, all that's left of the little drone is a molten wreck on the charging cradle. Foul-smelling smoke pours from the remains. You steal another glance at the chip that you've recovered and turn away. Okay. Now we can get back to business. He ain't dead yet, is he? Okay. Figure every time we come back here, he's going to be more and more violent. There's a pair of courier drones in the other room. No markings. They have looked custom built. One of them had been slagged, but the other had this chip in its storage compartment. When you produce the chip, the engineer's eyes widen slightly. He turns his head and coughs rack his body. Interesting. This means something to you, Yuli? Eiger takes the chip from you and holds it up to the light. No identifying markings. I've seen enough BTLs in my time to know one when I see it, but this is different. It's been modified somehow. Go ahead and slot it. It'll take you on the ride of your life. Eiger raises an eyebrow. Smack him for me, will you? I'm busy. Hit him. Your fist connects with the ruined meat of the engineer's nose. He coughs, chokes on his own blood, and then spits a wad of it onto your chest. You don't know what you're holding, slag. He spits the word out like venom. His eyes are locked on the chip of Eiger's hand. Slowly, he licks his lips. You don't deserve to touch that chip. I think that you're right, Eiger. Our friend here is an addict. The engineer glances at you with a snarl. Screw you. The thing is, I know our friend's rep, and I'm telling you, he's much too careful to get himself addicted to Sims. He glances at the engineer. His eyes are locked on the chip. If these things have him hooked this badly, they must be even more addicted than standard BTLs. That's a frightening thought. You're telling me. The last thing that we need is more sim junkies on our streets. She turns to face the engineer. You got anything to add to that, Yuli? You have no idea how wrong you are about all of this. He struggles to rise from the floor, but his muscles refuse to cooperate. Finally, he gives up with a scowl. If I could move my arms, I'd take that chip from you and show you what it does. I'm sure that you would. She glances over her shoulder at you. Good find, Wretch. We've struck a nerve. Any other thoughts? Yeah, actually. I think that I might know where the other chip went. Remember that body I found in the other room? He went on a bad ride. Yeah, good thought. Go check it out, but be quick. I don't know how long it'll be before we have company here. I'm on it. I'm letting Eiger do her business. Okay, search for the missing chip. Peeling back a patch of matted hair, you find something that a casual viewer would have missed. The man had a chip jack. It's a cheap model sufficient for loading SimSense chips and BTLs, but little else. It doesn't take much effort for you to pry it open. Inside the chip jack, you find a glob of plastic. It looks as though whatever this guy was running melted down sometime after he slotted it. A chip jack like this couldn't generate enough heat to destroy a SimSense chip. The only logical conclusion is that the chip itself was wired to melt down after use. Oh, what an interesting assassination way to kill someone. Okay. The engineer's eyes remain locked on the chip. His face has gone pallid white and his shirt is drenched with sweat. His eyes bulge and his breathing is heavy. Eiger glances up from your manic captive and looks you in the eye. Find what you were looking for? Yeah, I pried his chip jack open and found a blob of melted plastic inside. It was still warm to the touch. Eiger examines the remnants of the chip in your fingers. I've heard of things like this before. Single-use sims designed to self-destruct after they're slotted. Keeps the customers from reusing the same BTL over and over again. I'd say that you found our missing chip. Yeah, I agree, but the ganger who slotted this wasn't blissed out like a normal sim junkie. It was almost the opposite. He looked wild, like a madman. Madman. The engineer lets out a chuckle. It's a hoarse, barking sound. You don't know a damned thing. I know that we have something that you want, something you're willing to die for. Death is nothing. Nothing. If you've seen what I've seen, you would know for yourselves. The chip, it opens your eyes. Slot one, and you become a god. Eiger stares at him, her expression flat. The engineer sneers. I too was a skeptic. Then the wolf caught me, and the raven opened my eyes, and now at last I can see. Okay there, Bronze Stark. Suddenly he lurches forward. Every muscle in his body goes tight, and the cords stand out on his neck. Give me the chip. It was promised to me. I need it. Tell us who you're working for, and it's all yours. The engineer spits out a mouthful of blood. It hits the tile floor with a sickening splat. He grinds his teeth and then snarls out a single word. Winter Night. There's a moment of silence, and finally, Eiger speaks. Never heard of them. Of course you haven't. If you had, you'd already be dead. They don't leave loose ends. His body begins to tremble. It looks like the drugs are wearing off. They have money, she-troll. Money and influence enough to put the syndicates to shame. Even I cannot say how much, but I do know what I've seen is just the tip of the spear. Alright, let's say that you're telling the truth and some sort of secret society's behind this. What do they want with Schottenest? They don't tell me these things. All I know is that they want to store things here. Crates, boxes, shipped in from all over. No cargo inspections, and no traces back to them. What are they shipping in? Weapons? Drugs? More of these BTLs? He eyes her incredulously. You think that I asked them? It's not my place to know. All that I know is what was promised to me. Give me the chip. His voice comes out as a shivering screech. You promised. He promised you the chip. Eiger smiles at the engineer. Slowly, she pulls a knife from her belt. Its serrated edge glints in the light. I, on the other hand, didn't offer you a damned thing. Yeah, well, you put the knife away, Eiger. Oh, no. No, he's just gonna come back. He's gonna be worse. She got you there. Eiger leans in to look the engineer in the eye. She grins. Goodbye, Yuli. She plunges her blade into the engineer's throat. York lets out a startled, gurgling sound, thrashes, and dies. Eiger wipes her hands clean and looks up, an expression of grim satisfaction on her face. Well, that takes care of that. Thanks for the assist, fearless leader. No problem, but we aren't done yet. We still have Winter Night to deal with. Can't do it, Fearless Leader. What your suggestion is beyond the scope of our capabilities. I don't have any contacts in Norway. We wouldn't even know where to begin looking for Winter Night if we found them. What then? The two of us aren't going to stop an international conspiracy on our own. We're good, but we're not that good. Well, you've got a point there. We'll let the Flux State handle it. Good call. There's just one more thing that I want to do before we head back home. She gestures at the engineer's lifeless body. We still need to search the bastard. Who knows? Maybe he has some additional evidence on him, or in him. Could be that he has headwear storage. We won't know until we go digging. Alright, well, let's get this over with. Time passes. The job is long and unpleasant, but eventually you find something. A hidden storage compartment in one of the engineer's cyber arms. Deactivated as his cyberware is, it takes some prying to get it open, but Eiger leans in and puts some muscle into it. With a metallic snapping sound, the compartment yawns open. Eiger reaches in and pulls out a cylindrical object about the size of a beer can. She inspects it, and a smile creeps across her face. Does that mean something to you? Yeah, actually, it's a pulse grenade. Last I hear, the Russian military were developing them as crowd dispersal devices, but that was years ago. Looks like Yuli kept a memento of his time in the Spetsnaz. She examines the grenade with a critical eye. Looks like a typical Russian engineering, clunky but functional. If I took this thing apart, I bet I could figure out how they made it. Anything else in there? She dips her head into the secret compartment one more time. No, not that I can... Oh. Without warning, the engineer's cyber arms begin to twitch. His body bucks convulsively while his dead eyes stare straight ahead. Eiger snatches her hand back and steps backward. What the heck? The engineer's body surges forward, a violent convulsive motion. His eyes bulge out of his skull, then his chest evaporates in a spray of light. As you watch, the chemical fire that rages from the body blackens his flesh and spits spark across the room. It's the same reaction that you saw when the drone went up, a thermite reaction. His employers, Winter Night, they must have implanted that thing in him. Yeah, must have. I'm willing to bet if we hadn't used the cyberware deactivator on him, he'd have gone up before he had the chance to spill any names. Well, if you were looking for further proof, I think that was it. Yeah, looks that way. Let's go. People need to know about this. Alright, and the engineer definitely did not escape. So... Alright, we had a good run with Eiger. Got to get our torture and a little bit of our mean streak out of it. And we have potentially plans for pulse grenades, which will be awesome. And we're going to go ahead and end it here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you liked the video, go ahead and click like down below, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. That'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.